you're 18, you live in Cambridge. What
Yes.
gave you this bug for the spearing life?
Well, I say I live in Cambridge. I'm living in Cambridge. I'm actually on a gap year. So I've just been here for this year. I started out spearfishing. I would have been 12. Is in like year 7 in Sydney. Just started high school. One of my mates had a hand spear.
Okay.
And we went out one day with a hand spear, got a cuttlefish, actually, I remember quite clearly.
Oh, sick.
I was like, that looks awesome. I want to do that. And so I started with a 2-meter, I think, fiberglass hand spear from Ocean Hunter. That I did not catch a lot of fish for about 4 years on that thing, but it got me hooked. And then over the last 2 years, I've sort of taken it a lot more seriously.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So 6 months ago, like we were chatting quite a bit, and then you were traveling down to a competition in, was it Devon or Cornwall? I can't remember.
Well, the first comp I did was the the British national comp. So there's 3 national comps in sort of the 3 main diving areas in England. But by the time I was sort of got my stuff together, 2 of them already passed. So there's just the Cornwall one, which is about as far as you can get from Cambridge. Well, yeah, it's pretty much, you can either go far north or far south, and that's about as far as you can drive and still be in England from Cambridge. So that was a trek. That was my second time diving in the UK. I was like, right, I'm going to go into a national comp, which was an ambitious goal on my part. But well, you put me in contact with the Spearo Hangout boys. They were awesome. Richard,
great podcast too.
Yeah, they took good care of me. But the most memorable part of that actually was I got public transport down.
Yeah,
it was like 7-8 hours in public transport with a gun bag and a hiking pack. That was rough. Luckily, I'm just a bag of bones, so I don't need a lot of lead. That saved a bit of weight. But I was walking to the comp from my campsite. I was like maybe 2-3 kilometers on the day, walking through the mud on this like country road with like a weight belt slung over my pack and a gun bag under my arm. And then Daniel Mann just drove up next to me and said, "Oh, you're going to the comp," which was awesome. I was like, Daniel Mann is one of my big inspirations and idols in spearfishing. Just to have him just rock up and offer me a lift and immediately be a super friendly guy.
Was he the same? Was he the same in person as he was in his videos?
No, but not in a bad way. It's he has a very almost Australian sort of quite gnarly sense of humor.
Yes,
that doesn't really come across in his videos. So it sort of took me by surprise. But
he's quite pessimistic at times too, I reckon.
He can be.
I like it. But you're right. He's got that. It's very Australian, but it's a weird blend of the UK Australian culture, I reckon. He has.
Yeah.
And you'd relate to that, sort of being a bicultural type person yourself.
Yeah, or tricultural, actually.
Okay, what's your other one?
English, French, and Australian.
Oh, wow. How does the French tie into it?
It's a complicated story. When people ask where you're from, I can't give them a one-sentence answer. Well, it's a long answer. So I'm born in Spain. My mum's French. My dad's English. I grew up in England. Then we moved to Australia. And I've also been going back to France as often as we can.
The Atlantic side of France or the Mediterranean side?
Brittany. So it's, well, you would kind of call it the Atlantic, but it's more, it's sort of in between, just the edge of sort of like the English Channel and the Atlantic.
Yeah.
It's really northwest, and my family is more on the north side.
Okay.
But that's a beautiful part of the world. And best beaches in France, in my opinion. It's just a shame it's always too cold to swim at them.
Yeah, right. Black sand though, like
no, like white sand.
Oh wow!
Like that's my French grandma always says it looks like the Caribbean. It doesn't, but it's they're nice beaches nonetheless.
Yeah, cool. Oh wow, that does give you a unique perspective on the world. Like, you know,
Mm.
so when you experience a culture outside your own, it does give you more context for understanding the world and relating to people from different parts of it. So that's pretty cool. So you're walking down this mud road. You're going to the national championships, the third leg of the English sort of national spearfishing calendar.
Yeah.
Daniel Mann picks you up in the car. You're kind of you're meeting one of your stars in person, and he's different, which is pretty cool. What did the rest of the day look like? Walk me through it.
Well, obviously, I was quite nervous. First comp, second time diving in the UK. I'd never shelled fish in the UK. And one thing that was immediately clear to me is that all the best divers in the UK use boat floats. So what you see in Daniel Mann's video, there's big floats you often get on them because it's all swim comps. So you're swimming a long way. And that's actually a lot easier on a boat float. I didn't know this at the time, though, so I just had a torpedo float, which I think one of the first pieces of advice I got was you're going to need a bigger float, mate.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. But the people were super friendly. All the divers were like more than willing to give little bits of advice. Obviously, before at the start of a comp, no one says what their plan is. After the comp, everyone discloses everything pretty much.
Yeah.
But before, everyone's a bit, keeping it to themselves a bit. But I don't know if you know Dave O'Callaghan.
No, I've heard the name.
No, yeah, he's awesome guy. He could tell I was a bit nervous. I reckon he came up to us like, yeah, first comp. I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, just take it slow and you'll be around. And that just those words from a very experienced diver from like Davo, that really helped to sort of ease me out. And it was. And then I performed terribly. It was.
What were the conditions like there?
It was, well, for the UK, not too bad. So I think 4 or 5 meters viz, which, obviously when I lived in Sydney, I'd be like, right, there's no way I'm getting in. But now it's 4 or 5 meters. I'm like, yes, let's go.
Man, I still love 4 or 5 meters. I reckon that's hunting viz. If you get like 3 meters or less, I'm starting to be like, this is a bit shit because you don't even have time to react.
I did one the other week that we literally couldn't see our fins.
Yeah,
and that was tricky. But the nationals, I swam around for an hour, didn't see anything, got seasick, swam back into shore, was sick, drank a bit of water, swam back out, speared for a couple hours, shot one wrasse that wasn't in for the comp's limits, and then finished it there because I lost my dive knife, actually.
Oh, no.
Now I dive with 2 knives.
Okay, far out. Rugged. That's, but like, I honestly think that like the measure of a spearo isn't like how many fish you spear or how deep you dive. It's more like, can you maintain the froth through adversity? And I feel like when you're diving in cold, dirty water and the froth is still there and you're like willing to head out the next day, that is what makes you a spearo. Do you relate to that?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I always say. I think you've said it on this podcast that you've never heard anyone claim that British spearos are the best in the world. And I definitely agree with that. But what I will say, to spear in the UK, you need to love spearing. Like there's a lot of people in Australia, they just spear like, once or twice a year. They just own a spear and they go out. You can't do that because you're too miserable for most of the time. You have to love it.
Yeah.
And so everyone that, particularly at these comps, but that's usually getting comps. But
that's sick.
Generally, if you're in this sport, you're probably into it.
So it's almost like a weird little cult, isn't it? Like because there's like these people that froth out on it so hard, they're all eccentric, and then like you're kind of in this nervous crowd of people that are all as weird as you are, which should be a cool feeling, I reckon.
Yeah, and all wearing cassettes. Yeah, in the UK,
which makes you even more weird. That's great.
Yeah.